When we talk about what women really crave in bed, the conversation almost always gravitates toward techniques. What to do, how to touch, which moves to try. But here's the truth that doesn't get enough airtime. It's not just about what you do, it's about how deeply you're there while you're doing it. Emotional presence, not performance, is what many women secretly long for but rarely articulate. Let's break that down. Emotional presence means being fully attuned in the moment. It's when your attention isn't scattered or performative. You're not just focused on reaching a goal, impressing her, or proving something. You're with her. And I don't just mean physically present. I mean psychologically, emotionally, spiritually aligned. She can feel when you're truly tuned in. And when she feels that, that's when her walls begin to fall. Many women carry the burden of emotional labor day in and day out. They're constantly managing how others feel, tending to unspoken needs and navigating subtle social dynamics. So when it comes to intimacy, what they often crave more than anything is the space to surrender, to stop doing, stop managing, and simply emotional presence provides that safety. It tells her you can let go here. You don't have to perform. You don't have to impress me. I'm with you, not just your body. When that level of attunement is there, her sensuality can unfold in ways that even she may not have known were possible. This kind of presence is rare, and that's exactly why it's so powerful. Because here's the thing, most people are distracted. They're in their heads, running scripts, comparing themselves to past experiences, media portrayals, or imagined expectations. But women are exquisitely tuned to this disconnect. If your mind is elsewhere, even if you're physically touching her, she'll feel that absence. And subconsciously, she'll start to close off. It's a subtle shift, but it's the difference between routine sex and a transformative encounter. Now, I'm not saying presence is just about eye contact or slowing down your touch, though those can help. It's deeper. It's about intention. It's about grounding yourself, quieting the ego, and truly meeting her where she is. That might mean noticing her breath, the micro expressions on her face, the shifts in her body language. It means adapting, responding, not just acting out a sequence you read in a magazine or watched in a video. It's the art of listening without words. And ironically, the more present you are, the more naturally everything else flows. She doesn't have to guide you step by step because your presence is already reading the room. You're sensing her tension or her relaxation, her hesitation or her hunger, and you're adjusting accordingly. That kind of intuitive awareness builds trust. And when trust is there, her guard drops. Her sensuality emerges, not forced, not coaxed, but freely expressed. Presence isn't about being perfect, it's about being real. And the paradox is this, the less you try to impress her, the more impressed she becomes. Because what's truly rare is not a perfect body or flawless technique, it's someone who's actually there. So when we ask, what do women secretly crave in bed? It's not a trick move or a dirty whisper, it's your undivided attention. It's your emotional availability. It's the quiet strength of a man who knows how to be still and see her completely. Because presence is the doorway through which all other desires are safely explored. Let's talk about confidence. Not the loud, performative kind that demands attention, but the quiet, grounded confidence that radiates from someone who knows who they are. Because when it comes to intimacy, this is what women crave. Confidence without ego. That balance between leadership and empathy, between taking initiative and still being deeply attuned. You see, a lot of people get this wrong. They think confidence in bed means being dominant in a way that's aggressive or overly controlling. But that's not confidence. That's compensation. That's insecurity wearing a costume. Real confidence doesn't bulldoze. It doesn't need to overpower or impress. It leads with presence, and it adapts with grace. It knows when to take control and when to let go. Many women want to feel like they can lean into someone else's energy during intimacy. that someone can hold the space, guide the rhythm, and navigate the emotional terrain without needing to be reassured every step of the way. But here's the nuance. Women are also extremely sensitive to whether that leadership is rooted in genuine confidence or inflated ego. And the difference is everything. Ego seeks validation. It asks, am I doing it right? Did I perform well enough? But confidence is self-assured. It's not seeking approval. It's focused on connection. Confidence says, I know what I'm doing, and I'm here to co-create this moment with you. That energy is magnetic. It invites surrender. It tells her, you're safe with me. I can handle not just your body, but your complexity, your softness, your intensity, your desire, your fear. When a woman feels that, something shifts inside her. She stops analyzing, she stops anticipating, she simply feels. And from that space, real intimacy is born, not just physical closeness, but emotional depth. Now, let's talk about initiative, because this is where confidence often shines. Many women crave a partner who can lead, who isn't afraid to take charge, to make decisions, to explore without being told what to do. But here's the philosophical twist. Leadership without listening is just control. It's not enough to initiate, you have to sense whether your lead is being welcomed. And that's where attunement comes in. Confident lovers don't just act, they observe. They listen with their eyes, with their hands, with their intuition. They read energy, they adjust. They don't take a woman's silence as consent, and they don't mistake her compliance for desire. They check in, subtly but consistently, not with words alone, but with presence. That's how trust is built. That's how women feel safe to express their real desires, not just the ones they think will please you. And when she feels that balance, your strength without force, your confidence without ego, it opens a door. She no longer has to be the emotional caretaker in that moment. She can fall into her own pleasure, her own wildness, knowing that she's not being judged or managed. She's being held, not physically alone, but energetically. Because the truth is, women are not looking for perfection. They're looking for emotional maturity wrapped in masculine steadiness. That calm self-assurance that says, I don't need to dominate, to lead. I lead because I'm grounded in who I am. And I see you for who you are. And that's powerful. So if you want to know what women secretly crave in bed but rarely voice, it's not just that you take the lead. It's that you lead with confidence, tempered by humility, rooted in awareness and in service of connection. Because confidence without ego isn't just attractive, it's safe. And in safety, desire flourishes. Now let's get into the territory that makes people shift in their seats a little, fantasies. Because this is the part women rarely say out loud. Not because they don't have them, they do, deeply and vividly, but because many have been taught that admitting these desires is dangerous, that it makes them too much, too wild, too needy, or even not ladylike. So they keep quiet. They play it safe. They perform what's expected rather than what's real. But underneath that performance, there's often a powerful craving for freedom. The freedom to explore, to express, and yes, to be a little unpredictable. The truth is, women are some of the most imaginative sexual beings on the planet. But their fantasies aren't always about the physical. Often they're about power, surrender, seduction, taboo, the emotional flavors that make the experience electric. And yet few feel they have the space or safety to explore those parts of themselves without being judged, misunderstood, or worse, used. This is where a partner's emotional intelligence becomes essential, because a woman may never say she wants to be dominated, teased, or even ravished in a moment of deep trust, but her body will tell you. Her energy will shift. Her breath, her gaze, her rhythm, they're all communication, but only if you're attuned enough to hear them. And here's the paradox. Many women fantasize about being taken, but only when it comes from a place of deep respect and consent. What they crave isn't control, It's the experience of surrendering control to someone who's earned it. That's a massive distinction because surrender is never given to the reckless. It's offered to the one who proves they can hold it. That's where your role comes in, not just as a lover, but as a guide. Are you emotionally mature enough to create a space where no fantasy is too strange, too raw, or too intense to name? Can you hold her in her vulnerability and still see her with reverence? Can you invite her into deeper parts of herself without making it about your own gratification? Because the women who seem reserved or in control are often the ones with the richest inner lives. And when they finally feel safe to let go, to reveal what they've kept locked away, that's when you experience a side of her that isn't just sensual, it's transformation. But, and this is crucial, you don't get there by pushing. You get there by listening, by noticing, and by inviting rather than demanding. You create permission without pressure. You ask questions without judgment. And sometimes you lead with your own vulnerability, sharing a desire or curiosity, not to provoke, but to signal. This is a space where we can be honest. And when that door opens, when the masks come off and she feels safe enough to let you into the wildness of her imagination, you'll see a version of her no one else gets to see, and she'll never forget how you made her feel in that space. Because when a woman can be fully seen and still fully accepted, she doesn't hold back. So if you're wondering what women secretly crave in bed, but don't say out loud, understand this. It's not just physical acts. It's the psychological freedom to explore them without fear, without shame, and without needing to apologize. Because when she knows her fantasies are safe with you, she stops fantasizing and starts fully living them. There's a part of intimacy that gets overlooked far too often, not because it's unimportant, but because it's quiet. It doesn't shout for attention. It happens after the fireworks, when the room is still and the energy has shifted. I'm talking about aftercare, the lingering touch, the soft words, the gentle presence that follows the act itself. This is where a lot of people get it wrong. They treat sex like a peak moment followed by a fade to black. But for many women, the real emotional depth begins after the climax. That's when the nervous system is open, when the heart is vulnerable, when the mind is integrating everything that just happened. And whether or not she says it, this is when she's watching how you show up now that the performance is over. Because sex isn't just about arousal, it's about connection, it's about emotional continuity. And aftercare is the space where that continuity is either strengthened or fractured. Many women have been conditioned to prioritize their partner's pleasure, to adapt, to perform, to ensure you're satisfied. So, in the aftermath of intimacy, when everything quiets down, she often waits to see, do you still care now that you've gotten what you wanted? Are you still present, or have you already disconnected? That moment answers questions she might never ask out loud, but that shape how safe, seen, and valued she feels with you moving forward. And here's where the philosophy comes in. Aftercare is not weakness. It's not extra. It's the completion of the act. It's the grounding phase. It tells the nervous system, you're okay. You're held. You're not alone. And for a woman who's just allowed herself to be physically and emotionally open with you, this reassurance is not just kind, it's essential. Simple things make a profound impact. Holding her, stroking her hair, asking how she feels, telling her something you appreciated or admired about her in that moment. You're not fixing anything. You're honoring what just happened. You're letting her know that the connection wasn't conditional on stimulation or performance. It was real. This kind of care, subtle as it may seem, separates boys from men, lovers from partners, and sex from intimacy. And here's the psychology behind it. Women, biologically and emotionally, often stay in an extended state of sensitivity after intimacy. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, is still flowing. Her emotional receptors are heightened. If she's left feeling abruptly abandoned or emotionally disconnected, it doesn't just cause confusion, it creates a kind of micro wound, Over time, those wounds stack up, and even if the sex was technically good, she stops feeling safe. She stops opening. But if she feels held, cherished, still desired, even in her rawness, she remembers. Her body remembers. And next time, she'll open more. She'll bring more of herself, not just physically, but emotionally, sensually, spiritually, because now she knows this isn't just sex. This is connection. This is someone who sees all of me and stays. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present again and again, even when the lights are low and the silence is heavy. That's when it matters most. So if you really want to understand what women secretly crave in bed but rarely say aloud, don't just ask what turns her on. Ask what makes her feel held after. That's where the real trust lives. Because in the silence after the pleasure, when the performance ends and presence remains, that where intimacy becomes unforgettable.